Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Sorry for this one going about an hour late. I had some things go on, and my commentator today, Mike Piwowarski, was gracious enough to say, yeah, I'll go an hour late. We'll still do this. Mike, thanks for coming along, and thanks for accommodating me, man.
Yeah, no worries. We got one of them afternoon Florida lightning storms, and I was hoping it'd be gone by now, but we're still in the middle of it. So if you lose me momentarily, it's I'll be right back as soon as the power comes back on.
Okay, I get that. We don't have thunderstorms here today. It is a beautiful day, but it was a rainy morning. So just wanted to, before we get into the gun stuff, two things. Number one, I want to say if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube on the Polite Society podcast channel, you can comment on those videos. We'll get your comments up, discuss them while we're on the air. And I wanted to just I was just randomly checking, and seems like in the AL Central the Twins are still in the lead, and not so much in the NL East for the Mets. Is that am I right there?
You are correct. The Mets are holding on to suck place, and they're doing it rather well. Listen, great game though last night, extra inning game. They came back 3 runs down, ended up winning. Although I do absolutely hate this runner on second base rule. It feels like we're playing little league ball out there.
There's a lot that makes me feel about modern sports like they're set for when we were kids.
Yeah.
Those might have been rules for such as middle school or junior varsity.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, let's go ahead and let's talk about gun news today. I want to start off with, man, I'm not, these aren't in show notes, but we've had two. I just wanted to get your opinions on them real quick. We've had two decisions. Two things in Second Amendment news happened recently. One, the Supreme Court decided not to take the case away from the Seventh Circuit early, and the Illinois assault weapons ban still standing. Have you been able to look into that? What's your thoughts on that?
Sure, absolutely. And the media is playing this. In fact, the New York Times is playing this up hard as Supreme Court refuses to hear gun case, and it's nothing but that. It's this was, if you recall, Paul, I think we even talked about it. This was the Naperville gun store, and they had the ordinance pass in Naperville, and then in Illinois, banning assault weapons. Well, these gun store owner applied for an injunction direct to the Supreme Court, and it just so happens that right now it's Judge Amy Coney Barrett. She's the SCOTUS judge or the justice representing or receiving injunction requests from the 7th District. And that changes like every 6 months or every year. But he got that 2 weeks ago. She gave them until last Friday to file a response. She wanted a response from the state. I guess she got what she wanted, and she sent it back down to them saying, we're not issuing an injunction. We deny to hear this case. This was not a Supreme Court that did this. Or Supreme Court did that. This was Justice Barrett saying, we're not issuing the injunction at this time. And Paul, I got to say, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because now it means it gets to play out in the 7th Circuit Court. All right, and we'll get to see it after that. And the court date's already set in the 7th Circuit Court. If she had issued the injunction, Naperville and the Illinois could have said, you know what, we're just going to drop the law, and it would never have made it out of that circuit. Now, the way she's played it, it has to come out of that circuit. It's going to end up a Supreme Court case at some point.
It will, and the 7th Circuit is not dragging their feet on this like the Second Circuit sometimes does, like the Ninth Circuit is famous for. The 7th Circuit has this on a fast track. And so
yes, they do.
I agree with you that it's eventually going to be heard by the Supreme Court, no matter which way the Seventh Circuit decides it. I agree it's going to go up, but I'm heartened in that at least the Amy Coney Barrett did not have to give the seventh the same warning she gave that Justice Thomas gave the Second Circuit Court of Appeals regarding the New York's Concealed Carry Improvement Act. And don't drag your feet on this. She just sent it back saying, we're not going to hear it right now because the Seventh Circuit has got this going quickly.
Yes.
Let's and the other one I wanted to talk to you about real briefly before we get into today's news is the governor signed their assault weapons ban and their Concealed Carry Improvement Act. And just like when Washington did, within a few hours, SAF and others filed lawsuits. I mean, with the NRA filed, SAF and others in a joint lawsuit filed the same day, again, within hours of it being signed. Your thoughts on Maryland and where that's going to go, man?
Yeah, I think we've already seen, which way this one's heading, right? Anytime that this has come up, we just saw what happened in New Jersey again with their new gun law, Chapter 131, what it is there, where the judge actually did grant, the federal judge did grant an injunction with a 235-page smackdown of what they shouldn't have, what they can't be doing. And Maryland's over there, East Coast. This is right there. This is just a foretelling of what's going to be going on over there. The only wingnuts we know, like we said, Paul, are out west, with the ninth or perhaps even the second a little bit. But Maryland's about to get it handed to them. It just goes to show, or speak volumes as well, when you've got multiple national agencies such as the Second Amendment Foundation standing by with a lawsuit, waiting for the ink to dry on the governor's signature before they drop it. This is well researched, well thought out, and they want to get it done as soon as possible so people don't have to suffer under this tyrant's orders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to give short shrift. My brain no longer operates after my stroke, doesn't operate at 100% capacity. But I didn't want to give short shrift on the Firearms Policy Coalition, who did join with the SAF in filing that lawsuit. Also the NRA, and I believe, although I don't think anybody should be a member, and they hurt us far more than they help us, the National Association of Gun Rights also sued in Maryland. So let me get a comment up here real quick and make sure that everything is set correctly before I do that. Yep, it is. So here we go. And that isn't working. So as I have done previously, I've got to go to... It's going to look strange. There's going to be two boxes that are empty under me and Mike, but let me get this comment up that way. Reagan banned loaded guns in public decades ago. Criminals don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he could have done that ban. I mean, maybe in California as a governor, but I don't think he ever did that as a president. That would have had to have gone through Congress, and I just don't remember that. So, and with all gun laws, the criminals are going to do what criminals are going to do. Right. We're not going to stop them.
Yeah. No piece of paper, no sign, no nothing, no injunction is going to stop a criminal from either getting the firearm or using the firearm the way they want to, because they're criminals. They don't care.
And Charlie also says yes. That was when he was as governor of California. So, and I apologize. I did live in California for a while, but it was not when Reagan was governor of California. I would have been a very small person then. Matter of fact, I wasn't even in voting age until Reagan was out of office. The first president I ever voted for, the first election for president I ever voted in, was when George Bush Sr. was running against Michael Dukakis. That was my first presidential election.
I voted for President Reagan in '84 illegally, and it's a neat little story. One day I'll have to tell you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and you also voted for Kennedy, right?
Yes, Senator Kennedy, not President Kennedy, though. You've got to draw the line somewhere, you know.
All right. First news story I got today is off of kcur.org. And I'm going to read a little bit of this. Lydia Kidder, 21, is preparing to begin their first firearms safety and training course. They don't own a gun personally, but says they plan to purchase one in the months after their class once they've saved up enough money. Growing up, they never saw themselves becoming a gun owner. Their father, a hunter, made a point to get rid of any firearms before Kidder was born. They say family and friends often avoid the topic of guns and gun ownership altogether. Now, however, a lack of trust in government and law enforcement has convinced them that they have no choice but to get used to using a gun. This is a much longer story that does actually highlight one other person, but the title, the way the kcur.org put it, was these young Kansas Cityans are arming themselves against the rise of far-right violence. All I can say is to this young they, because that's, I guess, how they want to be referred to, is welcome to the club. I'm glad you've decided that you are your own first responder and that you are responsible for your own safety. I'm glad you've decided to take instruction in the use of firearms. Please make sure that is also instruction in what is legal to do and what is not legal to do. But welcome to the club, and please consider voting like a gun owner.
Right? I was just thinking while you're making your comments there that she shouldn't get to say what political party she is until she makes a mortgage payment, because everything beyond that, everything before that is just theory. It's all theory. None of it's really applicable. But she's listen. I think you're right. I think she may see the light, and she may get the smile on her face as they start putting rounds down range, and realize that who's right and who's supporting that right to for her to protect herself and her young family there. Does she really want to turn against those folks that are fighting every day to make sure she continues, and those like her, and soon younger than her, 18 to 20-year-old, will be able to exercise those rights?
Yeah. Let me get a couple more comments in here. Charlie again says, whoops, I don't want that one. I want that one. It's left violence in California, looters and carjackers, usually not Republicans. Well,
it's crazy, right?
It's strange how those things happen.
They're mostly peaceful riots, though. I saw that on the news. They're mostly peaceful.
Yeah, mostly peaceful as the buildings are burning in the background. Yeah. Next story I get is off of 943thepoint.com. This is a really long article, and I'm going deep down in the article. And the title of this one is, Can You Legally Shoot Trespassers in New Jersey? And they get into, actually, in this article, let me go ahead and grab this and put it in the comments over on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to grab this. There we go. Grab this URL, come over here, and this will pop in just a second. But it's a really good article of when is the use of deadly force authorized. What got me in this, and I'm going to read just a little bit of it, is U.S. Law Shield says that New Jersey still wants you to warn the other party before using deadly force. Listen, I know it's impossible to go through all these rules and regulations when you're in the moment. That's why if you own a firearm and keep it in your home, it's so very important to educate yourself on what it can and cannot be used for. I agree with this person. And that, shocking. I mean, come on. It's not very often that in the regular media I run across an article that is balanced and that I totally agree with, and this guy gets it. However, I do not agree with you have to give a warning before you use lethal force, because if there's not time, there's time.
You could see this one moving through the committee in the legislature there in New Jersey, right? You can hear them having this argument. Well, they should warn them before they shoot them, and they should shoot them in the leg, and then they should shoot the gun out of the hand. They should have to do all of that first before they have to shoot the bad guy. You can hear that, and you can see everybody else around the committee table going, "Oh yeah, no, let's do that. Let's do that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea." All that does is get more people hurt, Paul. Look, hey, warning! I'm about to, use my rights to defend myself. Here we go. Oh, now you're going to run and you're going to take a hostage. Oh, damn it! But hold on, that's not in the statute. It doesn't say what I do now. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the hostage is in deep doo-doo they didn't have to be in.
Right. Did the bad guy warn the hostage first that he was going to take them hostage? See?
Yeah.
They don't pay attention to the law. They don't pay attention to the law.
Not at all. I do want to get to a little bit of good news today, and I'm going to read through this. I'm not going to give my opinion at all. I'm going to let Mike give his, then I'll get into it with mine. But the U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, a Republican from Mississippi, today reintroduced her legislation to prohibit states, localities, or any other organization from using federal funding to maintain gun registries. The Gun Owner Registration Information Protection Act, or the GRIP Act, would clarify existing law that prohibits the use of any federal funding by states or local entities to store or list sensitive personal information related to the legal ownership or possession of firearms. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Mike, your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, this is great, and it's nice to see her put this on the books. I don't know if there was an issue down there in Mississippi or not that caused this. So folks, basically, the federal law says you can't have a gun registry, right? And that's what we got out of the '86 Gun Control Act or Gun Reform Act, and it was one of the trade-offs. And we said, no, can't have this. We're going to have background checks. Okay, no gun registry. So now you go back and forth and listen to whoever you want to listen to and try and get your own evidence of whether or not the ATF keeps one on us. We know they keep a hard copy, right, of all the old 4473s. It's kind of like a database in waiting. But they're not allowed to keep one. It's not like on TV where you hear them say, all right, run the lugs, give me his credit card receipts and see what guns he's got registered to him. The feds are not allowed to keep a registry of guns, an active registry of firearms. There are some cities, there are some states that do that. We know that as well. Mississippi is one of those states that says, no, we vote red, we vote with the Constitution here. We don't have a state registry. However, if some city or somebody in this state decides they want to do that, they cannot use federal funds. And I would think that would be self-evident since the feds don't allow you to maintain a registry. I wouldn't think they would allow you to use their money to maintain a registry, but maybe there is. Maybe that's how it works in some states. But what she's done is taken and protected her state's individual citizens' rights by making sure federal money from Uncle Joe, Sleepy Joe, can't be used to put one in some town or city that's willing to do so. Like a large metropolitan area that votes blue all the time.
Yeah, I think I've got it fixed. Going back to our last story, Michael DeWine says, follow all Mike's suggestions, then call an unnamed social worker.
There you go.
Love that.
Yeah.
Unarmed.
Unarmed. There you go.
Yeah. My thoughts on this GRIP Act, it's just like all pro-gun legislation on the federal level right now. I love that it's being introduced. I love that it's going to be debated. It has just about a zero chance of ever becoming law because it has to get through the House or get through the Senate. Get through the House probably will happen if it gets through the Senate. And then the president's got to sign it. So maybe if we tell them it's a free ice cream bill,
There you go. Sign here, sir. This is your permission slip to go get tapioca.
All right. And last story of the day, the Vermont legislature thinks they can override governor's veto. Vermont's lawmakers made strides on gun safety legislation during the 2023 legislative session, passing 3 bills that now await action from Governor Phil Scott, including a 72-hour waiting period for gun purchases. But Scott, who signed a slate of gun safety bills in 2018, angering gun rights supporters, says the current legislation is problematic. He said, quote, "I personally believe we don't need to make any dramatic changes to our gun laws at this point." Basically, I'm going to synopsize the rest of the story. The lawmakers think that he does veto this, they've got the votes to override the veto and force more bad stuff on the citizens of Vermont. I hope they don't. I suspect they might. And I guess I'm going to say this, Mike. Elections have consequences. Vermonters, you sent these people to office. Now you've made your bed, you get to lie in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also like to see Governor Scott be a little more firm in his standings here on gun issues. He's a Republican governor, and rather than him say, "I think we're okay with gun laws," why not the blanket statement? We will have no further restriction of our gun rights in this state. Done. As long as I'm governor. Why not that? Why can't we get that one out there?
Yeah, that won't happen because let's face it, the guy is wishy-washy, and he did sign some bad legislation in the past, but I would love to see that as well. I would love to see that in a lot more governors across the states who have R behind their name, but may or may not be. Although, and this is not in show notes, and we did discuss it briefly the other day, Nevada did, they had 3 gun laws go up before the governor from the strongly Democratic legislature there in Nevada, and the governor vetoed all of them. It doesn't look like they've got enough votes to override vetoes down there. Safe storage was in there, an assault weapons ban, I think, was in there, and I know there was a red flag law in there, and the governor vetoed all of them.
I know that nobody listens to the news, Paul. The 10%, 20% of the folks actually pay attention to the facts. If we don't get the word out on red flag, I'm ready to start knocking on doors and tell people how ineffective the red flag laws are and what they really do. I cannot believe this one has gotten tied into that wave, and it's just legitimate government taking of your firearms without a due process. So the folks, red flag law, what is it designed to? Oh, if they're a threat, I can tell the police and they'll come take their guns. Well, how about this? How about we use the things that are in place already? Every state has some form of a Mental Health Act or a Baker Act or a Marchman Act, whatever you happen to call it. And guess what? If the person is crazy, acting crazy, and they say they're going to use guns and do crazy things, guess what they do? They'll come under that order, the medical order, and remove the guy or the person and take them for help. It's the red flag. You know what they would do? They come take your guns and say, "Best of luck, friend. See you later."
Yeah.
And they leave him alone. Leave him crazy at home by himself. Let's take the crazy away from the guns rather than the guns away from the crazy. That way he can get some help. How about we do that? How about we use the laws we already have in place? Oh, I don't know. Why should we do something like that?
They still leave the axe there. They still leave the pickup truck there. They still leave the 10 5-gallon gasoline cans there. They leave all kinds of really, really, really potentially damaging and deadly stuff there. They just take away the firearms. They arrest the guns.
Yeah. And if this person's threatened you, made a criminal threat against you, guess what? The police are taking him and his guns anyway. You don't need a red flag law for that.
Yeah. Let me get this one in from Charlie Delano. Again, going back to the New Jersey story. And what are you supposed to do if there's a invasion into your home? Charlie says, Masada Youb told me what to do. And I forgot, I got this. Masada Youb told me what to do. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Very good. Got a little Mozambique drill there. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. and it just comes to my mind. A warning could be as simple as stop,
Yeah.
you know, or go away, or, or a red laser showing up on their forehead. I would consider that a warning.
I mean, I think a warning is the first time the lead hits you. That's the first warning, right?
Well, it's certainly a
There was
warning to the second guy stacked up on the door.
Yeah, they're exactly right. There was a police department down here in the South years ago. I'm not even going to mention their name. They've since been corrected, but they were known for shooting bad guys pretty frequently. And the joke was they used to go out and go, bang, 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 stop or I'll shoot.
All right.
So if that's the kind of warning I could give in New Jersey, I might be all right with that, you know?
Charlie now says, now I want a laser. Dude, I've got one. And just personal story here. After my stroke, I was really good with a firearm before my stroke. After my stroke, yeah, I'm okay. A laser makes me almost as good after my stroke as I was before my stroke. That's how much of an improvement I got. So, red dots, okay, but some people can see them right away. Some people can't. Laser, when that thing shows up, and it doesn't matter. When you press that trigger, as long as you don't have a jerk of the trigger, when you press that trigger, the bullet's going to go where the laser is pointing. And I love the things. So
aren't you supposed to say laser? Laser.
Yes. Or isn't it supposed to be frickin' laser? I don't know.
Laser. There you go. Exactly right.
All right, we're just about down to the bottom of the half hour here, Mike. Before we go, again, if you would plug Arms Room Radio and anything else you want to promote today.
Sure, Arms Room Radio. You can listen to us about 25 to 50 stations around the country, whether you want to listen us on a schedule or just get us hit or miss. It depends. So go to armsroomradio.com, armsroomradio.com, Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. You can listen there live, hear the education and informative news that we put out on Second Amendment issue. Saturday, 3 to 5 p.m., armsroomradio.com. And then, of course, to do the rundown with congressional candidate Craig DeLuz from California. Although I missed it today. I don't want to. I was out of pocket. You can watch that on the rundown.us, and that's on at 6 p.m. Eastern time on everywhere that you'd watch a podcast, I guess.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's on just before us, our normal time. He's on just before us, and I do heartily endorse him both for the show and for his congressional run in Sacramento. If you're in Sacramento and you're a Republican, watch your upcoming primaries, because he would be a fantastic representative of the U.S. House for you. And even if you're not a Republican, watch, because I believe he's probably going to take his primary. Watch next November's election. Look for Craig DeLuz. And if you're a gun owner, I don't care what party you're from, he would represent you very well in Washington, D.C.
And he's been an elected school board official for years there as well. I mean, just more reasons to vote for him. And I'm running as his vice congressman.
Okay. Yes. One last thing, and I'm going to plug this on the 29th of this month. So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. Craig will be our guest on the Polite Society podcast. On the big show, we'll be talking with him about his run. So that's going to do it for us today. Everybody, thank you for watching. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening. Consider coming to join us live sometime, almost every day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time, although we had to go late today. Thanks again, everybody. We're going to shut it down. We'll see you.